In this section, we are going to take a look at how to set up a glossary activity. A glossary activity allows students or participants to create and maintain a list of definitions, just like a dictionary. The entries can be searched or browsed in many different formats. The glossary can also allow instructors to export entries from one glossary to another within the same course. Once you've added an entry to the glossary and enabled auto-linking, any instance of a glossary term anywhere in the course will have a link to its definition. Now let's dive into how to set up a glossary. Like any other activity, to create a glossary, first enable editing by clicking on Turn Editing On. Next, select Add Activity or Resource at the bottom of the section that you want to add the glossary activity to. Select Glossary from the Add an Activity or Resource pop-up menu to open the glossary page setting as displayed here. Under the General section of adding a new glossary page, enter the name of the glossary the way that you want it to appear on your course page in the name text box. For example, keywords in the MS Office Dictionary. Under Description, enter a detailed description of the glossary. This description will not appear on your course page unless you enable it by clicking on the checkbox in front of Display Description on course page. As my description, for example, I am telling my students this activity is intended to build a solid dictionary for the course. So feel free to add any keyword you come across in the course here. Again, I will leave this unchecked since I want my students to see this description only after clicking on the glossary link on the course page. The glossary type can be used to decide if this glossary is going to be the main glossary or a secondary glossary. A main glossary is a glossary in which entries from secondary glossaries can be imported. There can only be one main glossary in a course. If glossary entry import is not required, all glossaries in the course can be secondary glossaries. Under the Entries section, all the underlisted entries can be set to either yes or no. Approved by default. If set to no, entries will require approval by the instructor before they could be viewable by everyone. Then with Always Allow Editing, it specifies whether entries are always editable or whether students can only edit their entries during a configured editing time, usually 30 minutes. If Duplicate Entries Allowed is set to yes, multiple entries can have the same concept name. Allow Comments on Entries. If this is enabled, all participants with permission to create comments will be able to add comments to glossary entries. Finally, with the Automatically Linked Glossary Entries, if site-wide glossary auto-linking has been enabled by an administrator, and this setting is enabled, the Add a New Entry form will include the option to automatically link the entry wherever the concept words and phrases appear throughout the rest of the course. Next is the Appearance section where you can adjust the display and appearance of your glossary. First, you can set display format to simple, dictionary style, which looks like a conventional dictionary with separate entries. No authors are displayed, and attachments are shown as links. This is the default setting. And I will maintain this option since I'm creating a dictionary glossary activity. You can choose any of these options in the drop-down depending on your preference. Still, under the display format, there is continuous without an author, which shows the entries one after the other without any kind of separation, except the editing icons. Full with author is a form-like display format showing the author's data. Attachments are shown as links. Full without author, on the other hand, does not show the author's data. Aside from that, the attachments are shown as links, and its display format is also forum-like. The encyclopedia display format looks like the full with author display format. However, the attached images are shown inline. The entry list will list the concepts as links. And the FAQ can also be useful for displaying lists of frequently asked questions. It automatically appends the words question and answer in the concept and definition respectively. Next is the approval display format. When approving glossary items, you may wish to use a different display format. You can maintain it at default to same as display format, so that it maintains the same display format for both. You can also decide to choose a display format from among the list here, just as we looked at in display format. The entries shown per page can also be used to set the number of entries shown per page here. The Show Alphabet Links if set to Yes will mean that participants can browse the glossary by letters of the alphabet. If Show All Link is set to Yes, participants can browse all entries at once. And if Show Special Link is enabled, participants can browse the glossary by special characters such as @ and hashtag. This Allow Print View, if set to Yes, connotes that students are provided with a link to a printer-friendly version of the glossary. The link is always available to instructors. Next is the Ratings section. It is possible to rate glossary entries, forum posts, and database records within Moodle. These ratings are then aggregated to produce a grade for that activity for the student being rated. To submit ratings, users require the rate capability and any module-specific capabilities. Users assigned the following roles should be able to rate items. The aggregate type defines how ratings are combined to form the final grade in the gradebook. Clicking in this drop-down list gives you options like the average of ratings, which is the mean of all ratings. Then the count of ratings, which is the number of rated items that becomes the final grade. Note that the total cannot exceed the maximum grade for the activity. Next is the maximum rating, so under this aggregate type, the highest rating a student receives is selected to become the student's final grade. This method is useful for emphasizing the best work from participants, allowing them to post one high-quality post as well as a number of more casual responses. Under minimum rating, the smallest rating is returned as the student's final grade. This method promotes a culture of high quality for all entries. The sum or ratings is where all the ratings for a user are added together. Note that the total ratings cannot exceed the maximum grade set for the activity. Finally, if no ratings is selected, then the activity will not appear in the gradebook. I will leave the rest of the setting as it is. For the common module settings, restrict access, activity completion, tags, and competencies sections, you can refer to the video on how to set up a quiz activity to learn how to use them. Finally, let's save our glossary activity by clicking on either Save and Return to Course or Save and Display. I will choose to save and display because I want to see how it will preview. After this, a link to the new glossary will appear on the course page where the student can select to add entries to the glossary list. In the next video, we will be looking at how to set up a wiki activity.